that have come out. All the candidates were sent emails. Some didn't respond. That's okay. So we're going to hear from the ones that did come. If you would, just a little housekeeping, phones on vibrate. That way the candidates don't get disrupted. We're going to do some introductions. We're going to get into some questions. This will probably last about 45 minutes. We're going to keep it short, relaxed, simple. That's the plan. Our moderator tonight, most of you know her. She's got an amazing personality. She was 102.3 Country Superstars, right? Yep. So if you don't mind, give it up for Carly. Yeah. And somebody just stepped in the back. Dr. Bracey, I appreciate you being here. It means a lot. Thank you. Good on your
Can we just get a mic check? Oh, here we are. Oh, good. We're doing good. All right. Whoops, maybe not. So welcome to the 2024 School Board General Election Forum. And as many of you know, early voting starts October 17th. Can you believe we're already in October? With the final early voting day November 2nd. And then the general election is November 5th. Tonight you're going to hear from 4 candidates who chose to participate. There are 8 candidates that are running for a seat on the Johnston County School Board. There's 4 open positions. 3 of the candidates are incumbents, and that would be Kay Carroll, Lynn Andrews, and Ronald Johnson. And 5 of the candidates are seeking a new position. Now, as some of you may know, Johnston County is one of the largest districts in the state in regards to student population. So we appreciate you taking time tonight to hear from our candidates and to make sure that you're educated for your decision when you decide to cast your vote. Tonight, each candidate will be given 3 minutes to introduce themselves, and then we'll have 6 questions. Each question you'll be allowed 2 minutes to respond. We'll begin the first question with Kay, and then the second question will go to Lynn, the third question will go to April, and the fourth question will go to Jeff, and then we'll go back to Kay and Lynn. At the end, you'll have 2 additional minutes to make any closing statements. While a candidate is responding, please, audience, refrain from clapping or making any noise, and other candidates, please be respectful to your member next door. Our expectations to the candidates, just to be clear, sensitive issues will not be discussed tonight. This all remains focused on education. If you need for me to repeat any questions, no problem, just let me know. If a candidate does run over his or her a lot of times here, I'm going to politely interrupt you and ask you to let the next person speak, and then you can say what you wanted to say at your end. 5 to 2 minutes. Are there any questions? Okay. So our 6 questions, we have 5 different categories, just so you can know, you can make some notes. Our first question will regard finances. Our second question, education. Our third and fourth question, safety, security, and discipline. Our 5th question, staffing. And our last question, legislative. All right, Mr. Kane. If you would like to give us 2 minutes now, your time is right up here on the back wall. Yes, sir. Actually, 3 minutes. Yes.
3 minutes?
Yes, sir.
It won't take. Am I on? Okay, now I'm live. Can you hear me? My name is Kay Carroll, and I'm currently serving on the Board of Education. I'm a Johnston County resident. I claim to be a lifelong resident because I came here when I was 10 years old, and I've been here ever since, and I got gray hair, so you know that's been a while. My wife and I established Carroll Pharmacy in 1977. My son has come along and allowed me to just help during flu season and Medicare enrollment. So I haven't completely retired. And I briefly served on the Johnston County Board of Education back in '92 for a few years, and then obviously this is the end of my first 4 years from 2000. And I'm just a great believer in public education because everything that I've been able to accomplish is based on the public education I got in Smithfield High School. My wife also, she's obviously the brains of the operation, but anyway, I tag along. But, we had 3 children. We have 3 children. They're grown now. They are products of Johnston County Schools. all three are professional people doing it. They're employed, so there you go. And we have 7 grandchildren, 3 of whom attended or has attended. One is currently in Johnston County Schools. Both of them are in their secondary education now. We have a granddaughter a freshman at South Johnston High School. So I have a big investment in public education, and I think every child deserves the best education we can get. And I joined this fray just because I want to fight for public education. I want it to be available for every person that is born in this country. And I don't know if it was attributed to anybody specifically, but I've read many times that to preserve a democratic society, we have to have an educated populace. So public education is that avenue, and I'm here to work for it as hard as I can for every child in this county. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Lynn?
Hey, good evening. My name is Lynn Andrews. I currently serve as chair of the Board of Education. I am a lifelong resident of Johnston County, a proud lifelong resident of Johnston County. I am a product. I graduated right over there on that football field at Smithfield-Selma in 1975. My children graduated from Smithfield-Selma. My husband worked at Smithfield-Selma and has worked in our school districts for over 40 years. I have a passion for public education, just as Kay has said. Just a little bit about my background. Donna and I have been married for 43 years. We have 2 children and we have 5 grandchildren, and I will call them out. Mason, Maxton, Marin, Mia, and Maverick. So keep that straight. But I have a great interest in what public education can do for this community. In my previous career, I served as a teacher and a coach. I have been taught at the elementary, the high school level. I ran Special Olympics in Johnston County for over 20 years. I then became passionate about our Exceptional Children's Program and students and individuals with disabilities, so I did that career. I retired about 14 years ago as a director of Exceptional Children. I feel strongly that every child can learn, and I'm honored to have the opportunity on the school board to try to make that happen for every child. You know, serving on a school board is serious business. We have 37,000 students out there with families. We have 5,000 employees that rely on us to make good decisions. And right now, a bit of my focus as serving on the school board is we have a redistricting taking place. We have a calendar to decide on for the next year and possibly the year after that. We have a bond to be passed in November of $120 million. I may talk about that later, I don't know. We have some serious issues ahead of us that need to be addressed by people who are truly committed to public education. I understand that parents, and I don't have a problem with parents having a choice as to where their children go to school. And they have the options of home, they have the options of charter school, private schools, or public schools. But if you're on a board of education, your emphasis has to be public schools. And that's where my heart is. I know the value of an education. I have seen it in my own life, in the life of my family, in the life of children that I have taught and seen to grow to be productive members of our society. And you know, that's what we are charged as a Board of Education to do. We're charged to provide a sound basic education for our young people. And when we do that, we give them a chance. We give them an opportunity to be successful for the rest of their lives. I have a passion for this job like nothing else, and I think it takes passionate people. So I just am honored that you're here. I thank you all for being here and for giving us an opportunity to share.
Our third candidate tonight that we'll hear from is April Lee.
Good evening, everyone. I'm April Lee. I'm a Johnston County native. I graduated from South Johnston High School in 1995. I attended both Forex and Benson elementary schools before I went to South Johnston. I'm a North Carolina teaching fellow, a graduate of Meredith College, and a graduate of Campbell University. I hold multiple teaching licenses in both middle and high school. I'm a classroom teacher in my 23rd year, so I have been doing the work for a really, really long time. And I taught in Johnston County for 21 of my 23 years. But my greatest accomplishments are my children. I'm a mom of 3, My oldest has already graduated from Johnston County Public Schools, and my other 2 children attend Johnston County Public Schools now. When my youngest graduates, my 2 grandbabies, who are with us now, my oldest of my 2 grandbabies will start kindergarten. So I have a continual investment in Johnston County Public Schools. I have been fighting for our schools for a really long time. My advocacy work as a teacher began during the Great Recession, when teachers were really taking some hard hits. And so I started showing up at the legislature. And then my advocacy work grew, and I kept showing up at the legislature. And then I kept showing up at board meetings. And then I showed up at county commission meetings, because I deeply care about public schools. And I've heard people say that the thing that I care the most about is teacher pay. And that is unequivocally not true. I care about our kids, and teacher pay is one way to address the needs of our students. Having empty classrooms in the time that there is a teacher shortage does not serve the needs of our children, particularly our most vulnerable children. So I am deeply dedicated to public schools in many different aspects. Public education opens doors and provides opportunities for all of our children. And I believe that it should not matter what zip code your child lives in. All of our children deserve a high quality public education. Thank you.
Thank you. And our 4th candidate tonight, Jeff Sullivan. If you'll please introduce yourself.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Sullivan. I'm trying to decide whether I need to put my reading glasses on or not because I make notes. But anyway, I am Jeff Sullivan. I am running in District 7 for the school board. I came to Johnston County in 1987, so I've been here for like 37 years, so I am now a Johnstonian at heart. When I arrived at that time, I never thought I would always be here as long as I have, but when you move to Johnston County, you fall in love with the county. I've met my wife here of 33 years. I have 3 daughters, all products of Johnston County schools, so that's why I'm passionate about Johnston County schools. I'm passionate about the various areas because I've had the opportunity to serve in the Smithville area, the Benson area, the Selma area, and then at the county office for a few years, and then at Clayton. So I had spent 32 years plus in Johnston County schools my entire career. I am currently a driver's ed instructor at Clayton High School. The reason I mention that is after I retired, and you have to stay out 6 months, I realized there was an empty void because I was not having the opportunity to help students, to reach out and make their lives better. And so I've gone back to driver's ed, so it's a little bit more an interesting experience when you get new drivers behind the wheel. But that's a little bit about my experience. And the reason I mention those things, because there's nothing like Johnston County schools. That's why I fell in love with it, and that's why I will be here the rest of my life, and that's something me and my wife have decided to do. I am passionate about helping kids. My entire career as a public servant, because I believe as educators and school board members, we are public servants. We serve our kids, and I try to do that every day because I believe when you pour your life into them, in return, you can see their success. I also serve teachers to stand beside them, help them, as well as work with parents on a daily basis, and also my constituents. And so I believe when you serve on the school board, you are an ultimate public servant. And so that's where my passion is. If I didn't believe in what we need to do for our district, which is my district, I wouldn't be here. But I want to be able to publicly serve the entire county because I think there's a need to do that. We need to come alongside our partners in the business world, other educators, and make sure we make a difference. Because something my dad taught me real quick is education is something no one can ever take away from you. So let's make sure that we provide a quality education for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lynn, Kay, April, and Jeff, for taking a few minutes to tell us about yourself, your qualifications, and why you would like to remain on the Johnston County School Board or join the Johnston County School Board. Before we begin tonight's questions, I'd like to remind you that are watching tonight that if you know someone that wanted to come tonight but was unable to come, that they can go back to the Johnston County Public School System staff and student Facebook page, and they can watch tonight's forum, or even you can go back and re-watch tonight's forum. Maybe you think you heard something, you want to go back and hear it again. So again, that tonight is being streamed on YouTube and on the Facebook page. Again, that's Johnston County. I know it's kind of a tongue twister. Johnston County Public School staff and student Facebook page. All right, Mr. Kay, we're going to begin with you. You'll have 2 minutes to answer tonight's question, or the first question. With the growing population in Johnston County, funding for public schools has become a critical topic. What are your top 3 funding priorities for Johnston County Public Schools, and how do you believe increased investment in these areas will positively impact the quality of education and overall student experience?
Okay, I did forget when I was telling you about myself to thank you all for being here, but let me say thank you all for being here. All right, finances. The history of my service on the Board of Education has been, I have asked for a lot more money than county commissioners ever wanted me to ask for. And I've always believed that as an elected Board of Education person, it was my obligation to send to county commissioners and anybody else that was responsible for funding what we needed to have a top-rate school system. And I've always done that. And I think Dr. Bracey, even what little time I've served while he's been here, will tell you I've always said you ain't asking for enough. So anyway, top 3 priorities. Number 1, in Johnston County, we need to continue to work on our total budget to try to get us up to the equivalent of state average supplement at least. So, and I will say this, that over the past number of years, we've been very fortunate in Johnston County because, 1, with our growth, we've had revenue increases that has enabled the county commissioners to fund basically the budget requests we send to them. The concern I have is capital outlay. We've got 50 buildings. We've got $3.5 million in capital outlay to maintain 50 buildings across this county. That's not going to work. The second thing is teacher supplement, teacher pay, because we've got to be able to attract and retain quality teachers. It's always been my effort to be between Wake County and every other county around us in teacher supplements. I would like to be able to tell you each and every one tonight that we can match teacher pay, but we can't do it. The third financial thing is we have to keep bond issues rolling because we've got hundreds of millions of dollars in deferred maintenance in this county that we've got to deal with. So having said about bond issues, there's one coming up on this November, $120 million, and a large majority of that is to go in and to replace outdated, broken down equipment that's just about quit. So please support that. So those would be my 3, I think, finance maybe.
For our county. Would you like for me to repeat the question? Repeat the question. Okay. With the growing population in Johnston County, funding for the public schools has become a critical topic. What are your top 3 funding priorities for Johnston County Public Schools, and how do you believe increased investment in these areas will positively impact the quality of education and the overall student experience?
Okay, thanks. Here are my top 3. Teacher pay, and what Kay is talking about is, the teachers are paid from the state. What we can add to teacher pay is our supplement. This year, last year and the years before, we were able to pay teachers a supplement out of ESSER funds. ESSER funds were funds that were given to us by the federal government. We don't have those anymore. And to the generosity of our commissioners, we have $5 million this year to give supplements to our teachers to replace the supplements that we gave during COVID, during the ESSER funds. So we're grateful for that. That gets us to a starting salary of a teacher first-year teacher about $41,000 now. That's only $2,600 a month they're going to bring home, thereabout. That's not much money. So teacher pay, and the only way we can address that is to work with our General Assembly, and thank you Representative White for being here tonight. And we continue to have those conversations with the House certainly has supported that, and but we're working on that. But also the ability to decrease our supplement. So teacher pay, also resources for our teachers. We need to make sure that as a school system that we are working to utilize the funds that we receive, which are local dollars, for resources within the classroom to help our teachers teach. And I'm going to tell you the impact of resources. Every single one of our Title I schools this year met or exceeded growth. Something's working, so we're grateful for that. The third thing that I would say would be facilities, and that's what Mr. Carroll was talking about. We have over 5 million square feet of facilities in our school district. And we are working with the commissioners to try to make sure that obviously the bond will help, but we're growing, so we're expanding some of our schools, but we got to take care of the ones we got. We have, so that's one of our emphasis in this new bond, and we'll talk about that later. But our commissioners have been generous to us. I mean, they have allocated just this past year over $300 million to help us with construction at Clayton, Cleveland, expansion of hopefully the bond, and also in the $104 million they gave us for current expenses. So it's just a constant thing, but yeah, teacher pay, resources and facilities.
Thank you very much. April, would you like for me to repeat the question?
My top 3 priorities actually sound a whole lot like everybody else who's reasonable who's sitting on this panel tonight. We've all got a lot of similar ideas. My first one would be curriculum support and classroom supplies. Teachers should not have to come out of their own pocketbooks to pay for supplies in their classrooms. And that has been talked about a lot. And understanding how that funding works, that money, even though it's a line item in the budget, it still goes to the general fund, which is then essentially controlled by administration in our schools. So that money needs to make it to classrooms as often as possible so that teachers are not paying for anything out of their pockets. Curriculum support with that as well, to make sure that teachers are getting what they need in their classrooms to support the learning parts of education, right? The classroom supplies are a little different than the actual things that support learning in the classroom. Paying teachers, but also paying our classified staff, because I don't know about you, but I know my school won't function without bus drivers and cafeteria workers and teacher assistants and folks in the office. So making sure that we are increasing our local supplement. It would be great if we could get into the budget, making sure that we're paying our teacher leaders for additional tasks that they do as leaders in the school building. And I know that we've been paying through COVID, we were paying for teachers to cover classes when they needed to continue that pay to honor the time of teachers. The last one, again, is facility improvements to meet the needs of growth, but to also meet the needs of repair. We know back in 2018, 2019, we were having issues with chillers and with heaters, and there were some major budget worries with that, so we need to make sure that we are preparing ahead of time a budget that addresses those things.
Thank you very much. All right, Jeff, would you like for me to repeat the question, or are you good?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm good. I think with anything we do, I feel like we need to continue to be physically responsible with the money and be prudent with our money, obviously. But one thing I need to touch on would be making sure that the money that we do allocate that supports our teachers through their curriculum and through technology. Obviously, as we know, we're in a technology age and our students are very savvy. So we need to make sure that we always upgrade our technology support and that we support our teachers with the right curriculum, and because our teachers inspire our kids every day, and so we need to make sure we arm them with the right material and support. And because I have a teacher that's living in my house right now, so I need to make sure I mention that, because I am very surprised how well our teachers are committed to our kids, and they spend a lot of money out of pocket. So I want to make sure we look into that and make sure we support them. Second thing, quickly, that was touched on, is our supplement, because we want to retain our teachers and we want to be competitive with surrounding counties, because I love our substitutes, but there's nothing like a teacher sitting in the classroom teaching those kids every day. So looking at our I think we've made some strides in that. I just want to make sure we continue to be, just make sure we support our teachers and make sure they're financially sound. And also, because we are in a county that's probably one of the fastest growing counties in the state, we need to stay on top of the growth and making sure that we have bonds, and also that we support the building needs, because our county's done a great job with mobile units. We just need to make sure we have those building needs set aside for our kids to be in the building.
Thank you. Tonight's second question will begin with Lynn, and our topic is education. You'll have 2 minutes to respond. Workforce development is critically important for the future of our students as well as the economic development in Johnston County. What programs do you think should be introduced to produce more students who are ready for the workforce and are better prepared for higher education?
Good question. We address this in our school system, but we can always improve it. And it's odd that I just looked at some of this information the other day. First of all, we all understand that probably the majority of our students are not going to college. They're going probably on to a technical school, or they're going into the workforce. And so they have to be prepared as well. And when you look at what we're doing in Johnston County right now with our career and technical program, we had over almost 6,000 students this past year, and this would be in our high schools, who earned credentials in career and technical areas. It's really weird that I have this right in front of me, but you know, we have from animal science, we have first aid, we have our fire academy programs, we have our agricultural program at South Johnston. We have to continue to expand. We also have begun our Bioworks program that we have with Novo Nordisk, where students can graduate at the age of 18 and go to work for Novo, and they make a nice salary. But we have to continue to expand the opportunities for these young people, because folks, we want these young people to graduate from Johnston County and stay right here. We want them to go to work for us, but they've got to have the soft skills, not just the credentials, but they've got to have the skills. They can communicate, they understand the commitment to work. But I am very excited about what we have done. And you can see this information, I believe it's on our website, but it's really amazing. We have over 100 apprenticeships at Caterpillar and our facility services at different businesses within our community. So our career and technical education program is really reaching out to the community and saying, what do you need? Can we have interns in your business in order to follow up and get a job? We want our young people to be productive citizens. I can't be a productive citizen if I am not working. And if I can't work if I don't have the skills to do it. So I'm proud of what we're doing, but we've got to continue to do more.
All right, April?
I'm going to start with a personal story for this. My youngest son is a senior in high school, and he has absolutely no interest in going to college. And if you know my son, that might give you a chuckle. He looks like his mama, but he's real different from his mama. And so we've been talking for a long time about a plan and what we're going to do. And the Bioworks program came up. I was sitting in a board meeting and I heard about it and I'm really excited about it. And he's like, Mama, I just want to go to work and make money. What can I do? I don't have to be happy about my job. I just need to go to work and make money. And I said, well, there's this Bioworks program starting, and you should take advantage of it. And of course, this was during his junior year. So now my son has applied to the Bioworks program, and will be taking it this spring. And so when he graduates, he will be ready to get a job at Grifols or at Novo. And he will probably make more money than I will as a teacher. I'm awfully proud of him, because our goal for our children is to be able to provide for themselves, right? And that's what all of us as parents have a goal for our children. Johnston County Public Schools offers some amazing programs like CTLA, that is a Career and Technical Leadership Academy. Building the new, JCC is building the new site in 4 Oaks so that they can expand what they offer, and hopefully we'll be able to possibly get some students over there for some, like, to continue to expand the programs that we offer, because so many of our kids, college is not an option, not with the debt that they incur for college. A lot of kids just aren't interested in that anymore. And we can be successful without getting a 4-year degree. So I think that's really important that we continue to work with our community college, with our local businesses, to continue to support the needs of our community.
Okay. Next, we'll hear from Jeff Sullivan. Jeff, would you like for me to repeat the question?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Good. I think this is a great question because 13 years of administration was at the high school, and I believe we need to continue to invest in our CT programs. We have CTLA. It was actually at Clayton High School for a year before they moved it over, and so I see the need because, don't get me wrong, I want our kids to go on to college if they choose, go to JCC, but being able to work one-on-one or hand in hand with a lot of high school seniors, I saw the need that they don't necessarily want to go into further college, they want to go into the workforce. So one of the things that I would like to see is maybe push the ball forward a little bit is we have all these wonderful programs that Ms. Andrews mentioned and things, and so did April mentioned about the ag, the CTLA, Nova Nordis and Griffles is right close to Clayton, and Caterpillar, which is in our back door. They have all these internships. But I would love to see is how we can partner with our business leaders, plumbers, electricians, masonry people, that we partner with them and give our students the opportunity to do hands-on work with those community business leaders to get that experience. And I would even like to see us being able to give them a local high school credit towards graduation, because it takes 32 credits to graduate high school. Why can't we look at, and even not look at these big corporations, which are great, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is, why don't we look at our local business people that actually want students to come in and work with them, and even possibly pay them as an internship if they can get that local credit. So those are some things that I would like to see that would actually not only help our kids, but support our community schools where they are.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Okay, Kay?
Well, they've done a good job of covering what's going on. But, you know, I will echo what's been said. CTLA is a great program. JOCO works here now. What we've done in Johnston County over the years is really try to partner with industry, partner with Johnston Community College to be able to provide these internships, also these programs, learning a trade or what have you. I think Jeff made a good point. I was sitting here thinking, you know, if I have to call an electrician to come to my house, it's $75 to walk in my door. That's before we touch the wire. If I call a plumber, it may be $100. My wife has me doing most of the plumbing. It's not too technical, so. But I do think that one, we can strengthen the more offerings in CTLA. I think it's a wonderful thing that we have the internships through our local industries. But somehow or another, look at working more in the trade industry where these students can actually have some on-the-job training. And I was on the board earlier in North Carolina when we decided as a state everybody had to go to college. And if you remember, Johnston County was the last school system in North Carolina where the trade, the industrial arts, I believe it was, the FFA programs, those things, ag programs were still alive and well. But, you know, unfortunately, budget-wise, we were not able to sustain it, so we had to do like everybody else, sort of fell out of favor. But we've since learned that that was a mistake. And now the trades are probably one of the safest industries you go in for job security. And I do have a grandchild that has worked. He is in college, but it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't turn out to be tile layer or a plumber or electrician because he enjoys. So he's not going to be a person that loves to sit behind the desk or be confined. So, those things are important, and you and I need those things, those skills every day. So I hope we can, as we move on down the road, we can offer more opportunities for students.
Thank you very much. Our third and fourth topic refers to safety, security, and discipline. And each of you will have 2 minutes to respond. We'll begin with you, April. Discipline, particularly regarding bullying and harassment, remains a significant concern in the school systems across the country. What specific measures or policies would you implement to ensure the district maintains a zero-tolerance stance on bullying and harassment? And how do you plan to support and hold accountable both students and staff in creating a safe and respectful environment for all students?
That was a long question. Okay. So, bullying and harassment. Really, if you examine our current policies, we really have a zero tolerance policy. The problem is that it doesn't always get to us, right? I'm a classroom teacher, and we don't see or hear everything that happens in the classroom or in the hallways or in the cafeteria. So we have the Say Something app that allows our students to report bullying or anything that they are worried about as a student, things that cause concern, and they get to do it anonymously. So we really need to push utilizing access to that app, like there's a mandatory training that goes with the Say Something app, but really saying, this is a way for you to let us know what's going on without telling us who you are. So it is an issue. We've seen it. I've seen parents present about it or speak about it at our school board meetings. But also, we have to build relationships in our classrooms with our students. And everybody who's a teacher in here knows exactly what I'm talking about, right? If you're not a teacher, you understand how important your relationship with your own children are. The relationships between teachers and students is equally important. We have to build trust. And so building that trust to make sure that our students feel comfortable in letting us know what is going on. If they don't have, well, not that they don't have access to the app, but if that's not the way that they want to let us know what's going on. But also what I believe is really important is consistency. When things happen in different schools, there should not necessarily be a different way to handle those situations. And I get that administrators have different perspectives and have their own way to handle things, but we need more consistency in how some of these very difficult situations are handled in our schools.
Thank you. All right, Jeff, you have 2 minutes unless you'd like for me to repeat the question.
No, thank you. I'm going to leave my glasses on this time since I missed some notes from the last time. Being an administrator for 20 years all throughout the county, I see this as an important aspect to the school because kids need to know they're safe so they can learn. And so it's very important. So one thing I would love to see is to make sure that at early grades that we have counselors doing class sessions and things like that. And I know counselors do a lot already, so I'm not trying to heap more on them, but let's educate our kids that it's okay to share. And we can do that early so as they get older, because when you get into the high school and middle school, I'm not saying it doesn't happen just in those two areas, but it does happen. And so we need to make sure, and April touched on it, that there is a Say Something app. It goes straight to administrators. I had that app. I looked at it. I did the investigations. And so, yes, we need to rely on the board policy, which is a zero tolerance for hazing and bullying. And so we just need to make sure that students need to know it's okay to share with some anonymity, because they will come forward if they know that they're afraid to know because then they don't want to be bullied and things like that. And so one thing I always share with kids, it's okay, I promise I won't share, but I just need to know what's going on so we can justify it, because it's right, we don't always know and we can't fix something that we always know, but having contact with guidance counselors that students feel comfortable going to them and reporting it, use the Say Something app. making them feel comfortable, because this is not my quote, but I love it. Kids need to know that you care before they care about what you know. And so when we can build relationships as administrators, teachers, bus drivers, custodians, TAs, when we build those relationships, kids are more willing to report things so we can address things, because we want all kids to be safe.
Repeat your question for Lynn and I, please.
Sure. I was going to ask if you wanted me to. Okay, discipline, particularly regarding bullying and harassment, remains a significant concern in the school system across the country. What specific measures or policies would you implement to ensure the district maintains a zero-tolerance stance on bullying and harassment? And how do you plan to support and hold accountable both students and staff in creating a safe and respectful environment for all students?
A policy that I can't write that would be wonderful and helpful for discipline is it begins at home. And it also is responsibility of all of us in our civil discourse. Because, what is it they say? Don't tell a kid what to do. The kid learns what to do from what you do. And all they do is mimic what we do. And, our civil discourse has gone down the hill, and we need to realize that. And I don't care what political party you are or where you come from or anything. We need to be respectful of each other, and children pick that up real quickly. So if mom and dad don't demand a little discipline, or, when they send their kid to school, it makes our job, pretty tough. The other thing is setting expectations within the school system. At one point, I'm not sure we do this, but at one point the school board instituted a contract. At the beginning of every year, we listed our expectations of what we wanted. We wanted parents to do, students to do, expectations of what the system would do, and hold ourselves accountable to that. Now, I can't write a policy to make, parents be responsible parents, but, I was sent to school that, if I heard stuff back that you weren't behaving, whatever you got at school, son, you're going to get twice as much here. So I'm not advocating, whipping a kid or anything like that, because I didn't like that. But it was effective. Anyway, policies that we can do and write is alternative programs. And we have alternative programs in this county where children can go to a school with a different atmosphere. I'm going to run over Lynn, I'm sorry. But anyway, we want to strengthen that. And as far as enforcing, are you going to cut my mic off? We got 5,000 employees, and it's terribly difficult to make sure everybody reacts and does exactly what we want them to do. But we work every day to make it happen.
You're going to have 2 more minutes to talk in a minute on that same topic, so just hold that thought, write it down.
This is important, what we're talking about right now. Bullying is an issue. And we do have a zero tolerance policy. And our principals are doing everything they can to enforce it. I know you're not going to answer this question, but guess where most of the bullying takes place? Not at school. It takes place on Facebook, on their phones. And many times the schools, I met with a principal about a month ago and talked with them about this, and they were talking about how difficult it is. The child comes to school, the parent calls the school and says, my child's being bullied, but it's happening the night before. But it's real. And we do have a zero tolerance. I think it starts young. I think we start with those elementary children, and we talk about relationships. We talk about how you treat each other. We talk about what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. We have to continue to ingrain that into these young lives, because they're being influenced by things that are not us, and thinking that it's okay to call somebody a name. It's okay to bully somebody. It's not. But we do have a policy, and our principals are trying to enforce it, but it does happen. And we have to deal with it when it happens, and we have to deal with it in a manner that lets the individuals know this is severe. I think we all understand that many of our young people are going through some very difficult mental health situations. We need mental health services in every school. If a child is continuously bullying another child, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. Why does a child feel the need to do that? Because I don't think children wake up every day and say, let me see how mean I can be to that person. I think many times it's just what's going on in their own individual lives that cause them to reach out and criticize other people. So we got to work together on it. It is real. Do we like it? No. Do we tolerate it? No. But we spend a lot of time investigating and trying to get to the bottom of it. But we do it because it is real and it hurts children, and we're not going to tolerate that.
Thank you. Okay, the second part of our safety, security, discipline question, we're going to start with you, Jeff. Vaping has become an increasingly prevalent issue in schools, raising concerns about student health and safety. What strategies or policies do you propose to address this challenge effectively? Additionally, with the ongoing debate around cell phone use in educational settings, what is your stance on the regulation of cell phones in our schools? And how do you envision balancing the benefits and potential distractions cell phones present?
And I only get 2 minutes for that? No. Yeah, in my experience, once again, because I have 32 years experience, I don't mean to repeat that as a banner, but before I retired, vaping was an issue. And we do have a board policy with actual steps when they reoccur. And so obviously, I think it has to start with education. And we start with education, once again, young. We do it elementary, then to the middle, and to the high. And that we educate them on with the vaping. Now, I understand there's something called popcorn lung. Don't quote me on that, doctors, because I've heard something like that. And so it is an issue. I have dealt with vaping in school, confiscating the item, calling the parent, explaining to them if this happens again on campus, then it could lead to further consequences. And so I think we have to educate our kids, make sure there are specific consistent boundaries and enforcement of those, and that comes to the administrators. More so in the very short time that I had, cell phones. Cell phones is the #1, I believe, distraction in public schools today. I cannot tell you how much time I spent my days, instead of being an instructional leader, but had to deal with cell phones because of social media and things like that. But I also understand the importance of having a cell phone because you have your kids and you want to know where they are and what they're doing. But I can see that cell phones, once again, we do have a policy for cell phone use, and that it is a distraction. We've had teachers that have these little pencil boxes. They put it in, you have to put it in the pencil box and then shut it up, and then you get it at the end. I think those are effective. But I definitely think there needs to be some way that we can also limit that by maybe having these cell phone blockers at school during instructional time. But then in case of emergency, those blockers go off, because in case of emergency, that's what you want to make sure you can reach your kids. So I do think that is something that I would think, as an analytical person, that I want to think about further, how we can improve our policies to where it's enforceable, but tangible, that students will actually follow it and not be such a distraction.
Thank you.
We do have a vaping policy. Smoking, vaping is prohibited on all Johnston County Schools property. And we've installed screening equipment that picks it up. And we have confiscated, I'm sure, I can't tell you how much stuff. We've created a business for these folks that make the instrument, because we're continually taking it away. And we're, everyone's vigilant in the school trying to make sure it does not happen. But, obviously students are real innovative, and they find ways to to get it into the school, and also they'll sneak around the bathrooms or whatever, stairwells, and take a puff. There's no question that vaping is probably the most dangerous activity that young people can get themselves involved in, because there's so much mess going on in our country now with stuff being adulterated. People, for some reason, think it's funny to put fentanyl or whatever you want to call drug in that, and a child or student has no idea, taking it from other folks, what might be in there. So we do have that policy, and we aggressively enforce that policy. Cell phones, I think, and I would agree that when they walk in the door, maybe they should be put in a pocket. And if they're used, I do believe that we do have some maybe math programs that part of their instruction, they can use the cell phone as a calculator, what have you. When it's appropriate for them to have a cell phone and use it, go for it. But the schools, every one of our schools have secretaries and they have phone lines going in. And 99.9% of any emergencies and needing to get hold of your child can be done through a principal's office and be sufficient. Now, I'm not saying that we might not be happy about it, but anyway, I would like to see some of that, and I would help promote and support that kind of policy.
Vaping, as Mr. Carroll said, it scares me to death. It's not like the kid who was smoking in the bathroom back when I started teaching in the 1980s. These kids are vaping substances. They have no idea what they're vaping. And we've seen it. You've seen it. You've seen it on the news, what's happening to our young people. I think it starts young. I want us to be talking to our second graders in our public schools about vaping. And, it's a shame that we have to do that, but we have to do it. And we need to help educate parents. We need PTAs to be talking about vaping. We need them to be talking about what's going on YouTube, too. But we need to educate our parents, because I don't know that they fully understand. I'm sure they're not condoning vaping on their child, but it is become the thing, y'all. If you would sit outside one of our high schools and watch the kids drive in, you'll see the smoke coming out of the windows of their car as they're turning into the student parking lot. And it just scares me to death, because it only takes one time of getting the wrong stuff. The cell phones, we have a policy about vaping. We have a policy about cell phones. And we have schools in our district that you don't see a cell phone out in their classrooms. We did that in every school. Now, somebody asked me the other night, would you consider banning cell phones? I'd be happy to talk about it as a board. But we have a policy in place. We just have to institute it. I know there's one teacher in this room that no student got a cell phone out in his room because the standard was set. And you're not going to have your cell phone out in my room, period. But we got to have things in place. We got to support, if we have our principals saying, get the cell phones out of the classrooms, make them turn them off, put them away. As a board, we got to support them when they do that. We got to support the principal, and Dr. Bracey's going to support the principal when we have to discipline because you have your cell phone out. So it's got to be a collective effort. They are the biggest distraction right now to our young people. I think we all know that. There's an addiction there. So we just need to continue to work together on it.
I believe that one of the best ways that we can address the vaping issue is education of our parents and our students. At West Johnston this year, at freshman orientation, they did a whole session on vaping with parents. And it's so valuable because a lot of parents don't know, right? There are lots of very crafty ways to hide the cartridges, things that look like school supplies. So even teachers don't know. And so I think education about vaping is going to be a huge, I don't know that it's going to solve the problem, but it at least might put a dent in the problem. Kids are, they sell them to each other at schools. There's all kinds of things that happen, and that's been happening for a while. My oldest graduated back in 2019, and it was happening then as well. But I think our first step as a board and as a district is to make sure that our parents and our students are educated. I feel like we're back in like the DARE program, but it's for vapes instead of drugs, cell phones. I'm a math teacher. Cell phones are the devil. Kids would rather do anything other than pay attention in class if they got a cell phone in their hand, right? So my policy as a teacher has always been, if I see your cell phone out, your phone's going to phone jail. I make them go put it in phone jail. I don't touch the phones when they're in phone jail. They've got a phone jail that's hanging up in the front of my room, and they all know it. So very rarely do you see a phone out in my room because they don't want to be separated from it for any length of time. And I know from being a mom, my kids go to West Johnston. They have some signs on the outsides of their doors, like a red, a yellow, a green. Usually it's their red or yellow, but they indicate like what level of cell phone use can be happening in their classrooms. So red means I don't want to see it out ever. Yellow is like you can have it when I tell you to, because they may be using it for some sort of educational purposes. So I do believe that in instances that we need to, I'm over, I'm sorry, I'll pick that up later. Thank you.
We are 2/3 of the way through tonight's questions in our form. You'll have 2 remaining questions, and then you'll have closing statements where you can add on to that if you want to. So our 5th question tonight has to do with staffing. And Kay, we're going to start back with you first. With many vacancies across the district, teacher recruitment and retention should be among the top priorities for the Board of Education. How do you plan to address recruiting new teachers and keeping the teachers that are currently serving in the Johnston County Public School System?
Okay, we've already been very aggressive about this. Our human resources folks go to our colleges, these job fairs, not only in North Carolina but across the country. I understand we even had one travel to the Philippines recruiting teachers to come into the county. The board itself, in terms of being competitive, and let me say, this year I understand that we are 97% staffed in the classrooms in this county. Now that, anybody understands that is tremendous. That's very, very good. We're never going to be 100% because people retire, people move, people get sick, any number of reasons. So it's a continuous process. What this Board of Education has done is we attacked our longevity pay. We had 68 steps. If you could work for us 68 years, you would finally get your last, raise. It's now 30 steps. We have increased our pay for bus drivers. We have increased pay for Belinda's cafeteria. We've tried to increase everyone's pay. We do pay, we have bonused with ESSER money, which we don't have anymore. But we did a lot of bonusing for our teachers to just say to them, you're appreciated and we want you to stay with us. So we have done the supplements, things like that. But recruitment is a big thing, and retention is a supplement. What we can pay as a base salary, that's got to have the legislature's help. But also look at a master supplement. We do have the board certified supplement. We need to do better with our TAs and be better with our cafeteria people. We would like to do a policy that does not require a TA to sign a contract that says I'll drive a bus if you talk me, if you have that thing. We've eased that up where it's not, I should say, still sign it, but maybe not ever called on to do it. But those are the things we're already doing to be more progressive and, go about doing it even harder.
Okay, as Kay said, we're excited. We have a 97% fill rate for our certified, and we have a 94% for our classified. Y'all, we haven't been that good in many, many years, so that's a real tribute to our HR department and the recruitment. So now we have them here. We have a good number of teachers working for us. Now we got to work to keep them. I cannot tell you how difficult. I remember my first day teaching. It was right across that road right over there. And I think the first week I got in my car and cried every afternoon thinking, what in the world have I done? Why did I choose this career? Of course, you stick it out. We got to support our young teachers. And in conversations with our General Assembly and our representatives who are really good to us, I'm very grateful for their support. We need more nurses and counselors and mental health workers. We need social workers in our school. We need things that help take some load off of teachers. One of the things that burns teachers out is that they have to be all things to all people, and so I think we could help that. But we have a good department for helping our young teachers, our beginning teachers, meeting with them, helping them, trying to encourage them, trying to help them with certain things. But we get them here, the pay helps, the bonuses help, the longevity helps. We're grateful to the General Assembly because the General Assembly actually gives a supplement to our teachers. So along with the one that we're able to give from the money that the commissioners gave us. But we just have to continue to work with these young teachers. That first 5 years, y'all, I cannot tell you how hard they are. That first 5 years is difficult, and it's harder now, a whole lot harder now than it was when I started teaching, because you're dealing with a lot of different things. So getting them here, nurturing them, making them understand that they are appreciated, and helping them to get the things they need, the resources they need, the training, the continuous training that they need in order to become the professional that they want to be.
We're used to sharing things at the public schools, just saying. So that's why I'm like, oh, hand me the mic, right? So we can talk about sign-in bonuses and retention bonuses and increasing supplement. Those are all things, increasing our classified pay. I'm so glad that they did the compression of the classified staff. My sister's a classified staff employee, just to make, it was really confusing before they did that. We can talk about all those things, but there are certain things that are actually going to retain our teachers. Making sure that we have consistent discipline and that we hold up that discipline in our classrooms and from administration helps keep teachers in their classrooms. Autonomy for our teachers, trusting teachers to know how to meet the needs of their students while also having some standards in place from the district, but still trusting that teachers as professionals understand their students, where they are and where they need to be. Right? We need to support that in classrooms because teachers really are the professionals, right? We went to school for this. We work with kids every day. We've got to trust our teachers. Lynn was talking about our BT program, Beginning Teacher Program. If we want to have people in place to support teachers, we do it, old teachers like me, we kind of do it naturally, right? We are mentors whether we're paid to be or not, but I think that it is super important for us to realize that we need to value and compensate teachers for their time, and they did that with ESSER funds. We need to continue to do that. We need to pay our mentor teachers who are helping support young teachers because it is a lot of work. As much work as it is in the classroom for the new teachers in that 0 to 5 year range, supporting them is equally a lot of work. So let's continue to support our teachers who are in the classrooms doing that kind of work.
But excellent question, because like I said, I have a teacher living in my house now. Hopefully I'll get her off the payroll soon. Once again, I think we've already touched on being competitive supplement-wise, making sure we take care of our classified staff, our bus drivers, our custodial staff and things like that. Going out and being aggressive with university visits and things like that. It was already touched on the mentor-mentee program, the BTs. I had many teachers actually, in my experience, usually leave the profession after the first or second year, right? Because they get overwhelmed. They don't sometimes, because you not only you're teaching instruction, but you take on that emotional support of students when they come with different baggage with them because something happened at home and things like that. So we just need to make sure that we support not our teachers with the mentor-mentee alone, but give them that emotional support of those emotional breaks that helps. I also think we will continue to protect that instructional time. But not only just in instructional time, because I do think, I saw a chart just recently that the teaching profession is one of the least valued professions in our country now. So we need to make sure we instill that we do appreciate them, that we do respect them, we do appreciate what they do every day. I also think minimizing the bureaucratic paperwork as much as possible. Not only do they grade papers and they have to do instructional planning, and they have to do that during their planning time, that we make sure that we ease that so their grading papers are not taking them home and grading papers for 2 hours with their family and things like that. So we look at those bureaucratic things that maybe we can help reduce those, and that would be, that they can spend their time more wisely. Also, especially like making sure they have that PLC time during their plannings, especially at the elementary school. At the elementary school level, teachers don't get a lot of planning time as much as middle and high school. But we also need to make sure we do that, and that we do continue to be consistent with our discipline and supporting our teachers within the classroom. Thank you.
All right, tonight's final question, and the topic is legislative. And we're going to begin with you, Lynn. As we look to the General Assembly for support, what specific items or issues do you believe should be prioritized on the Johnston County Public School legislative agenda? And how would you advocate for those items to ensure they receive the attention and the resources needed to benefit our schools and our students?
Well, I'm glad that we have a great relationship with our representatives, and we have the opportunity to talk to them. And I've also had the chance to serve on the Legislative Agenda Committee, where we create the agenda that goes to the General Assembly. Certainly teacher pay is one of the things that they always talk about, which is very important, and they hear us on that, and they, they're working on that. They continue to work on that. Also, safety is a big issue, and what I mean by that is that safety and security. I met with our commissioners and told them about our needs and our concern for the entrance of our buildings, and we sat down and talked about weapons detection systems. And I literally told them, this is what we need. And they said, well, how much money do you need? And they gave it to us. Now, that wasn't the legislature, but that was our county commissioners. And I think our legislators feel the same. But we continue to need, and other districts need help with purchasing items and things that you need. We've been blessed with the county commissioners, but every district doesn't have that. So I would say safety to security measures, which I know that they're aware of that. And we continue to need help with, as I told you before, we need more counselors, we need more social workers, we need nurses, but we have to have positions and funding to do that. So, those would be a top 3 priority to me, that we could get more positions in those, because I think that takes the work off of teachers, and it also allows us to streamline the services of mental health or medical needs. You would probably be astounded at the medical needs of our children, because they don't have any type of health care at home or in their community. So if we could get those things, really, the teacher pay, which again continues to be talked about, the safety and security measures, and also those positions that can help us address those other needs of our students, besides the academic needs, the things that we need in order to help our students, the whole body. And but we have a great relationship, and I know they hear us, and I know that they're trying to help us.
This is one of my favorites. Okay. I've told y'all I have been pretty active as a teacher who visits the General Assembly. And some things that I believe are critical to improving public schools, not just for Johnston County, but everywhere in North Carolina, would be improving teacher pay, and not just teacher pay, classified pay. Reinstating master's pay for those who earn advanced degrees. And while we're at it, we can throw longevity back in, because we're the only state employees who don't get it. I got it one time, and then it was taken away from me. So those are our pay issues. Another issue that I believe is a pretty hot topic here in Johnston County, and I try to make it be a hot topic because I'm super passionate about it, is calendar flexibility. Back in 2004, the General Assembly passed a law about calendars and the dates when we could go to school and when we could get out. And it has been a hamstring to our academic calendar and meeting the needs of our students, particularly now that we have alignment with our community college systems for a lot of classes. So in order for us to get the instructional time that our teachers need, I'm a high school math teacher, and when you have a semester-long class, it is unfair to cut off a semester at under 70 instructional days. And 5 days, every 5 days, we have to have at the end for testing because they don't get the time they need for instruction. So we need to be able to back our calendar day up, not a lot. In the county I teach in, we have backed our calendar up to August 14th was the first day with our students. We are ending the same day that Johnston County is getting out. We've got 85 days in our first semester, and we've got 90 days in our second. That's the goal. Let's repeal that law so that our districts can have their own flexibility for calendars.
Don't want to sound like a broken record, but one thing, I do agree, I think our legislators that represent Johnston County and our surrounding areas, that over the years, they've been advocates for education. And we have one representative here, and I know she was at Clayton High School some, but she's always advocated, always a wonderful citizen that believed in education, and I do appreciate that. Once again, it's just teacher pay, that we can get it to the national average or close to the national average, but we don't leave out our classified staff. We've already talked about that. School safety is another big issue. I have seen over my career is where we've gone from everybody coming in, and then after I retired, we got metal detectors in, which is another improvement. We have vestibules in which students enter in through the front and they can't go into the school, which is all these great things. But I think something that we also really need, and it's been touched on, and I think it's been a common theme, is that we do need more counselors. We've talked about educating our kids younger about vaping and about bullying and about harassing, but that takes people and counselors in there having those conversations and educating our kids at an early age. Also, when they get to middle and high school. Just a very quick example would be right after the pandemic, we got back into school. Before we had the pandemic, we at Clayton had maybe 6 kids that had mental health issues, which we made referrals because they were threatened to end their life. After the pandemic, in 1 month, we had 21. So we definitely need mental health services that could go in and support our schools. And we did have that at Clayton at a small scale, but we only had 8 mental health professionals coming in and working through a grant. So those are things, but yes, we need counselors to help us with these so that teachers don't have to. We need more nurses because of just the public health, and their position. Because kids, if you don't take care of their sleep, their food, the rest, they won't learn. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If we can't meet those needs, we can't educate them. And so it does take funding. So that's something I think is very important.
We need to have our legislators, and they are, for the most part, working to help public education. One of the things that we've always struggled with in Johnston County is pay to cover our exceptional children's teachers and the requirements there. Unfortunately, it is a percentage that is applied, I believe, statewide. I'm not sure it's been changed. I don't think it's been changed since I first served on the Board of Education. But we have to spend a lot of local money to provide services for exceptional children. And we should provide services for exceptional children. But the state needs to realize that, we can't use an antiquated mode to do it. And we've talked about emotional issues, mental issues, are more compound today than they were 20 years ago, 10 years ago. So need to look at that. Like April, I wrote down we need more local discretion on our calendar. We in Johnston County know when we need to go to school, how we need to fix it so it fits for us. We want to have exams before Christmas so you're not out a month and forget how to do them math equations. So, it just makes sense. I mean, let's do it that way. The majority of the students and children in this state will go to public schools. They won't go to a private school, they won't go to a charter school, whichever you want to call it. So I would just say to our legislators, fund public schools like you believe in them. I hear a lot of talk, but there's a case, Leandro Manning said, you've underfunded schools, legislature, pay up. But we got, what now, $600 million in opportunity scholarships that, are out there. So if we've got $600 million of that, don't we have $600 million for public schools? If we were to fund it like we were supposed to, we'd have better pay for teachers. Another thing we need to do is treat teachers professionally, If a teacher goes out and gets a master's degree, it's worth something. Pay
Thank you
for
very
it.
much.
So, there you go.
So this concludes tonight's 6 questions, and now each one of you will have 2 minutes to complete any of your final thoughts. You can add on to any questions you were not able to finish, and you can tell us here and those watching online why they should vote for you. This will be your final 2 minutes, and we're going to begin with April.
I'm going to just say a quick word about Leandro. If we were to fund Leandro, Johnston County would have a 42% increase in its per pupil expenditure, almost $3,000 additional funding per child for us to use to provide a high quality public education. That lawsuit is huge for us. So just to say, we need to teach our students empathy and compassion to make sure that things like bullying and harassment aren't happening. I think about my own children because I'm a mom and I'm a teacher. But not only do I stand here for my own children, I stand here for all children in Johnston County. I'm a public school teacher. I believe in the promise of our public schools. We have a unique opportunity to put an actual classroom teacher on our school board. And it's a unique opportunity. It doesn't come around very often. But I am very in tune with the needs of our teachers, of our classified staff, and of our students. I'm with students every single day. I'm not a district person. I'm in the classroom. I'm teaching every day. So we get to put that voice on our board. It is a win-win situation for everybody involved. It's time for us to do this work for our kids, for our classrooms, and for our communities. Thank you.
All right, Jeff?
Something that was touched on is when I first started in the county in 1988, I was a special ed TA. Then I became a special ed teacher. Then I became a coach. Then I decided to go back and get my master's in school administration, which I spent my last 20 years as a school administrator. And having those perspectives, and special ed is near and dear to my heart because I lived it. I was a self-contained teacher, and then I become a resource teacher. And something that Mr. Carroll said is correct. The state funds at 12.5%, but we're represented, if I'm not mistaken, when I retired, it was 15%. So looking at those funding sources is really important because they're special. They need that attention because we want to improve their quality of life and stuff. So I want to see that. One thing I want to mention about the calendar, I think we need flexibility in the calendar. And something I would love to see is that, why can't we have 2 calendars? The elementary middle calendar, because their testing should not be effective because you can go through the 9 weeks before they get the EOGs and benchmark assessment. But the high school is essential, that we need to test them before spring break. So, I mean, not spring break, but Christmas break, and having a balanced schedule. I lived through both, so I'll just end with that. And I would love to talk with you more about that if you have any questions. But being a public servant is part of what I believe is essential to be a school board member. We serve our families, we serve our communities, we serve each other on board. And I just want to let you know, I would take my knowledge and experience to the school board to make sure we're doing everything we can. We always ask the question, what is best for our kids? So I would serve it with integrity, respect, being a servant, and even if we disagree, I will still respect you because I believe that's what this position deserves. So thank you for your time.
Well, thank y'all for being here. It's been a good evening. One of the things that I've always focused in my service on the Board of Education is as we have decisions to be made, I have tried to look at it from, the student's perspective. What's going to be good for this student? What's going to be best for all of our students? And I have tried to be receptive, respectful, that anything we do on the Board of Education is inclusive of every child. We meet every child on the front steps of that school just how they are. I've not seen a teacher personally that didn't love those children. I don't care what they call themselves, where they came from or anything. And it's a special profession because I couldn't do it. But I sort of think even men, they're all like moms. They love these kids and they want what's best for them. So, that's been my focus. The other thing is I've always wanted to try to work towards a goal. I've always wanted to try to create a culture of support and trust within the staff so that they know that they are supported, that they're appreciated. And also I wanted them to understand that they would have a Board of Education that is going to get out of their way and let them teach. Because believe me, if we let teachers teach and we give them the support and we give them the resources they need, this county is going to be in the top 10% of school performance in this state. We've been there before, and we can do it again because we've got great teachers, we've got good leadership, and all we have to do as a board is to look. I might disagree with Lynn about how we get to that goal, but as long as Lynn and I or anybody on that board has the same goal, we're going to work it out. So thank you for coming tonight, and I've enjoyed serving, and I would appreciate your vote and support, and if you put me back on there, I'll go after all the money I can, and I'll help these teachers and the students. I'll be their advocate. Thank you very much.
I cannot tell you what an honor it has been to serve on this school board. This responsibility is a servant leader. I say that a lot. A servant leader, you're a person who puts your own personal desires aside and you serve other people. And to serve on a school board, you need to have a passion for what you are doing. And I don't think I could have a greater passion. I love this school district. I love what I do. I believe with all my heart that God calls us in seasons of our life to serve others. And I truly believe that God has called me to serve in this capacity in this season of my life. We have so many things going on that are so good right now. We're 35th in the state, y'all, in accountability. 35th out of 115 school districts in the state of North Carolina. We have schools that have met the growth, that their growth is like, we have one school that's 22nd in the state out of 2,394 schools. They are number 22. We have so many reasons to celebrate. But this responsibility of a school board member is a serious job. It's not about promoting yourself. It's not about doing something that puts you in the spotlight. It's about serving other kids. It's 37,000 kids that are going to walk in our schools tomorrow morning. It's the 5,000 employees that are going to show up and go to work. And they're going to depend on the school board that supports them, that listens to them, and that will help us move forward. And I love doing this. And I would hope that you would support me in the re-election. But most importantly, I want you to support our school district. I want you to praise our classified staff and our bus drivers and our custodians and our child nutrition, our teachers and teacher assistants and our administrators. Give them your support and praise them for their hard work. I learned a long time ago an acronym, and this is what I live for. It's called ICE, I-C-E. Serve with integrity, serve with consistency and commitment, and serve with excellence. And I am vowed to do that. Thank you.
So we've heard a lot of great responses and ideas, and it's nice to hear the passion in all four of your voices. Tonight you've heard from 4 candidates that are running for Johnston County School Board. Our first candidate is incumbent Kay Carroll, that represents District 3. Our second candidate is our current board chair, Lynn Andrews, that represents District 6. Our third candidate is April Lee, seeking a seat in District 4. And our fifth candidate is Jeff Sullivan, seeking a seat in District 7. Thank you to all 4 of you candidates for being here tonight in the first forum of this election year. And thank you to those here tonight in person to watch. We realize that your time is valuable and that your schedules are busy, and you took time tonight to come and listen, and we appreciate it. We thank you very much. For those that are watching online, thank you as well. We appreciate you watching. Our hope is that when you go to work tomorrow, or someone says, hey, what'd you do tonight? That you tell them that you were here, and that you encourage them to go back and re-watch tonight's forum. And that again can be done online on Facebook at the Johnston County Public Schools staff and students Facebook page. For those of you that are here tonight, in the back of the room you'll find some literature on all candidates. And if you would like to speak to any of them, share any of your concerns, or ask additional questions, all 4 are willing to hang around to hear from you and would like to speak to you. Again, early voting starts October 17th, and while that may sound like it's a long time away, that's really only 4 weeks. Each one of you have a say-so in what happens in our district. We thank you for taking time to be here tonight. This concludes tonight's forum. Thank you.